that water somehow retains a memory of things once dissolved in it.
Science has not yet been able to answer the question of why water is the only substance on the planet that can exist in three states: liquid, solid, and gaseous. Why does water have the highest surface tension of all liquids? Why is it the most powerful solvent on Earth? And how, in defiance of the Earth's gravity, is water able to rise through the trunks of gigantic trees against tens of atmospheres of pressure?
The water molecule is a dipole. One end is charged more negatively and the other more positively. This is a well-known phenomenon. A molecule acting through its negatively charged end can attract another molecule by its positively charged end, and then another molecule. This is how the structure of water is formed. It is fluid and short-lived. Somehow, among the changing forms, one can see stable formations. These are called clusters. It is within these structures that water retains information it has captured. Any substance coming into contact with water leaves a trace in the water. Had our ancestors guessed this when they used silver vessels to turn ordinary water into healing water?
Water has memory. Experiments done in many countries around the world have shown that water receives and makes an imprint of any outside influence, remembering everything that occurs in the space that surrounds it. It makes no difference where the water is located. If you transport water to outer space, it remains sensitive to what it encounters. NASA scientists discovered this when they released water in a low-gravity environment. The structure of water means how its molecules are organized. We can see how water molecules join together into groups. Scientists came up with the idea that these clusters work as memory cells of a certain sort, in which water records the whole history of its relationship with the world.
Water is a recipient of energy.
Chizevsky established that single-cell organisms became agitated in line with the advent of solar flares. While the sunlight still has a full 8 minutes to reach the Earth, the bacteria already know about the upcoming change. Detecting changes in the universe, water immediately changes its properties both on Earth and within the bodies of living creatures. This happens instantly.
Sure enough, the plants that you see the water that had been prayed over and blessed had a more vigorous growth rate. Over and over, we see around the world where water seems to play a major role in healing.
We know that water is a recorder of frequency. And we also know from a great deal of evidence that thoughts create a frequency, and that water is a recorder of those frequencies. People are mostly water. Food is mostly water. Anything alive is mostly water.
How a person handles water. If he approaches the water with good thoughts or blesses it and says thank you to it, the quality of the water will improve, and the water will have a positive effect on a person and his body.
The resonance of the water you bring into your body is so very important. When you drink water, energize it with the knowledge you have. Send that knowledge. Spiral it in. Imagine the water spiraling, creating a vortex in a both clockwise and anti-clockwise direction, creating the positive and negative key. Imagine an energy entering the water and spiraling and creating a vortex. That is all it has to do. The thought will then energize the water. That will then reintroduce life force back into the water, which is the life force acceptance of the planet.
Laws of the universe are written in water. The golden ratio, or the divine essence, was found in a molecule of meltwater. Everything in nature's perfection has been created in accordance with this program. The arrangement of leaves on a branch, the petals on a flower, or the thread of a spider's web. The intricate form of a snail's shell, the DNA molecule, the universe. transpires that who created this world transmitted the program of life to every living creature through water.
Anything in the universe that connects all things, the only substance you could find would be space. Space is everywhere, and water is an expression of that space. Any changes in the space will change the water. All life emerges from water because water is the medium from which space communicates with all living things. You find that you have hurricanes and typhoons, right? Hurricanes in the north hemisphere and typhoons in the south hemisphere. And you look at the way the weather patterns move on our planet, they go from the poles to the equator and back to the poles. They don't cross over. There's this double torus behavior of how the water and the electric fields and the magnetic field of our planet is behaving. So water is an expression of the structure of space-time.
If you go to Bible, if you go to Rig Veda, or if you go to other sources of the origins, it turns out very interesting thing, water was not created. If you just read the first verses of Genesis, there is no a single word about the creation of water. And all other religions talk about water as non-created. And here is the major mystery.
Liquid water shows up on Earth 3.5 billion years ago. Guess when microbial life shows up on Earth? 3.5 billion years ago. Almost simultaneously with the arrival of water on Earth comes the arrival of life.
At the first stages of humanity and the first stages of those civilizations that came from the skies, we had this knowledge that the only thing that can keep information through time was water. Water is the only element that can live through the time and space constantly and never change. So that's why they recorded all the information through the water, and the best way to put all this information in the planet was through ice. So that's why they came here to record all the knowledge from every civilization, so we as humans could drink that water and have that information, our purpose on this planet. That is why North Pole and South Pole became like the libraries of the planet. So pyramids around the world are like a big network of computers downloading information from every dimension, so we as humans could have this information towards our own evolution as physical beings, emotional beings, and spiritual beings. You are able to contact the information of every timeline and every space of this network of planet. So you can go to the core of the planet and you can go through every dimension of what this planet means, opening the portals towards every dimension and contact every reality and every information you want to contact. The only way you can record this information in a physical way is by water or blood. Water or blood are exactly the same, so water is the only reality that can switch its vibration, its shape, by the information that it's receiving. That's why only jars of water in the middle of the pyramids or a person in the middle of the pyramid are the only ones that can imprint this information from every dimension within, activating it in the DNA or the patterns of the ice, the water.
Ancient structures all around the world that seem to exhibit the mathematics of musical harmonics, that the laws of the universe interact through the laws of harmonic resonance. And so basically what they were trying to show, 1.36 is actually known as the comma Pythagoras. Their musician used it for equal tempering of their instruments and
They know what that means.
Right, and it's the exact discrepancy between the mathematics of the octave and the mathematics of the fifth note in an octave back and look at the origins of what we would call psychic abilities for human beings. I believe that that was something that was built into our biology as a way of eventually gaining our freedom. They literally constructed the laws of harmonic resonance, not only to show that this resonant effect takes place between stellar bodies, and it takes place between musical notes in an octave, but they built our biology with 7 chakra zones. Each one of them vibrates to the same frequency as a musical note. And because of that, your biology can vibrate with the reality matrix around you and cause conformity and change with will. And that's real magic. And those laws of magic are the same things that allow for psychic functioning of the human body. Encapsulated, their knowledge encapsulated and hiding all these many eons because the Anunnaki were so concerned with it being preserved for humanity.
The only way you can upload or download information from a pyramid is if you are able to handle that. And that's why we need to understand that there are pyramids all around the world, but until we don't activate our own pyramids within, our own octahedron, our own power from the heart, our own chamber inside, if we don't find the darkness of the void in the 9th dimension within, we are not going to be able to get into the information that goes through those pyramids around in order to activate every pyramid in the world and become again like the mirror towards the unity. You have first to become your own pyramid, and that's the goal for the future of humanity. We need to become our own technology.